Good morning and welcome to the Pacific Northwest Section's first virtual uh, town hall. And with me today is Section Chair Rhonda Farmer and Section Trustee Cheryl Capron, who are going to be sharing with all of you some things that have been going on at the section, what we can expect for the remainder of 2020, and of course, what we can look forward to in 2021. So without further ado, I was going to hand it over to Rhonda, but Rhonda just slipped away. Okay, here she is back again. So Rhonda, take it away.
Sorry, as predicted on time, someone knocks at the door. So yes, again, I'll reiterate what Kyle said. Welcome to our first ever virtual town hall. I'd like to thank everybody for taking time out of your days to sit with us here today. And I hope everyone's doing well during this pandemic and trying to find some sort of joy on a daily basis in our virtual world. So we do have a lot to cover today. So I just want to kind of dive in and get started on this. So the first thing that I would like to update everyone on is kind of the current state of our section. So I will start off by saying that we are overall in good health. The board has been working very hard, as well as all of our committees and subsections, on transitioning over to a virtual environment. We are working hard on our new 2021 budget, as well as making adjustments to our 2020 budget. The board has also made a few financial decisions that will affect 2020, such as approving the use of some reserve funds to make sure that we can keep a balanced budget and still provide value of membership, because that's kind of what our reserves are for, to dip into if we need to during these unprecedented times. I will let you know too that we, under one of my chair initiatives, we have started a new diversity and inclusion subgroup under our Membership Engagement and Development Council. So I'd like to thank Chris Young and Joni Stoltz for spearheading that and getting that going. It's well underway, but I will say that there's room for a lot more people at that table, and you'll be hearing more about that as time goes on. And then the board has also approved, and everyone has been sent out, our new virtual training and standard pricing policy. So hopefully you'll be putting that into place moving forward when you're starting your virtual trainings. And we will be hearing from Cheryl later on in this to kind of give you an update on that and where we're going. So, hi. So I will say this, there has been numerous impacts to our section because of COVID-19, impacts to our section and our membership. The biggest one, obviously, is the cancellation of our Spokane conference. All of our networking events got shut down, all of our golf tournaments, and all of our fundraising events. So it's been really hard. I know that one of the major values that a lot of us have with AWWA is the networking and the personal relationships that we have made over the years. And so I know that's been very impactful, not only for me, but the rest of our membership. You know, in canceling our Spokane conference, that had a huge financial impact, obviously, to our section. That, you know, when we cancel a conference, our conference is half of our section's income for the year. So not only that, but we lost our competitions with, because I know there was already a lot of people that had local competitions to send people to our conference and then hopefully participate in ACE. ACE also had to be canceled in Florida this year, so there was that loss of that competition atmosphere was a huge impact to our section. And then also the training aspect. We lost, you know, our conference that had a fantastic technical program, and you know, so that, you know, the loss of that for our operators and our engineers who need those CEUs and those PDHs. So, you know, with that in mind, I will say that, you know, the Board of Trustees has been trying to move forward with a plan for 2021 and the rest of 2020, and how we're going to weather this storm as a whole. So what you can expect for this year, obviously everything is going to be virtual, but moving into 2021, the board has also made the decision to cancel the in-person 2021 Boise conference. Instead of having that in-person conference, we will be having 4 mini conferences, and you'll have seen that has been updated on the website as well, with those dates. So there'll be a lot more information to come out on that. We do need abstracts. There was some that were already put in for Boise, and we're definitely using those and contacting those speakers, and letting them know of the transition and making sure that they still like to provide that training. But we need more. We need help from all of you, all of our committees, our subsections, our membership, any of that training that you're putting on and that you were thinking about putting in for Boise. Just know that it's now virtual, and that we still need all those abstracts. And as part of that too, that we've also started developing some sponsorship and vendor opportunities at all 4 of these events. More information will be coming out on that, but we do know that's a huge loss for our vendors, is not having that contact time with our membership. So we are trying to create opportunities for that to still happen. So our focus for the rest of 2020 and into 2021 is going to be, our look ahead basically is going to be that everything is going to be virtual. We won't be having any section in-person events. I know that, we are Washington, Oregon, and Idaho, and social distancing is going to be different in all 3 states. So, for subsections, obviously, if you're able to have small in-person events, that's not something that we want to discourage, but we are planning as a whole for everything to be virtual. And we also are looking at virtual social aspects of putting those on as well. And then for our committees, moving into 2021 budget, we are asking that any events or trainings that they put on have to be revenue neutral or make a profit, just because of the budget challenges that we're looking at. So, and then we also had a leadership symposium that was scheduled for September. That has been postponed as well. We were able to postpone that into 2021. The location is still going to be in Salem for that, and we are still planning on trying to hold that if things have been lifted and we can put that into place. But you will see more details on that to come out. So that's kind of where we're at for right now. And because I did speak about Boise conference and training, and we are trying to focus on virtual training, I did ask Cheryl to join us today to give us an update on our virtual training and the document that our virtual training ad hoc came up with and the pricing policy. So I'm going to turn it over to Cheryl now.
Thank you, Rhonda. I just want to clarify a little bit on the Boise thing before I jump into the rest of the virtual training. While we're doing this virtually, we are planning 4 6-hour webinars. And so it's going to be considerably less content than we've done in the past. So instead of needing 180 abstracts, we will only be able to use 48 at the most for the Boise training. But I don't want anybody to be discouraged by that and feel that, well, there won't be room for my abstract this year. Put it in, because we do have subsections and committees that are able to pick up and use some of those abstracts in their own trainings. For example, the Water Treatment Committee has just run 3 webinars this past summer from the content from the Spokane conference. And so, while the abstract is needed, recognize that it may not necessarily go into the Boise conference. You may be contacted individually by subsections or committees for things that won't fit into that. So I just want to put that out there, that this is not going to be a multi-track conference that you can pick and choose from different topics online. It's just going to be a 1-track 4 times through 2021. Okay, on the virtual training document resource that we put together earlier this summer, after the conference was canceled, I thought, well, we had all this great content from Spokane. Is there any way that we can use it? And then when Washington came out with their temporary policy, yes, we can do webinars. And so we got to talking about, well, how do we do this? If we do the webinars, we need to make sure that all 3 states are on board, and how do people do this? And we thought, we're going to get people asking these questions like crazy. So we wrote together this document. It's loaded in the governing documents section of our website. There's also a copy of it on the program committee webpage under online training resources. I added another page there that's got some useful information. So it has this document. It's got other training that you can sign up for until we can get our own training up and running. But basically the document's a resource. What's the best platform? What are the technical requirements that we need for this? And again, why are we doing this? Well, it's because everybody's got to go to virtual training, and Oregon and Washington training reporting periods end at the end of 2021. So people need to get in their CEUs. Because it's webinar based, we need to offer CEUs for all 3 states, because anybody in our section could call in. So there's information there on how to apply in each state for CEUs, and the contacts at each of the agencies. There's a pricing policy. Again, we do need to make up some revenue. We do have some costs associated with putting on these webinars. It's certainly not the expense that an in-person conference is, but there are still fees that need to be covered. And as I said, we got reserves that need to be rebuilt. So there's a policy in there for pricing. We're working on developing a best practices for this. We're all still learning how to do this, and there are occasional, oops, we didn't think about that, or oh, I didn't know that could happen. And so as we learn more about that, we want to add to that document on, one of the things that we've learned is it's best to have probably 2 moderators for this. You want somebody who does the standard moderator practices, such as working with the speakers and making sure everything's on track there. And then the second one is for the technical aspect of this. You got to manage any questions that come in. You need to document attendance by asking these questions of people. And sometimes things happen. If you noticed at the beginning of this that Josh Kennedy popped in real quick there, and as we learn, how do we get out of this? So again, that's in that online training resources in the program committee page. If you have questions about it or comments, I'm happy to hear them and to try to incorporate them. I want to thank Mel Damewood for helping me put that together. That was a big help. And again, as I say, it's a new thing we're getting going on here, and we can do this. The ones I've seen so far have been really good, and I don't know what else to add to that.
No, I think that's great, Cheryl. I will say this, that if this is kind of a town hall forum and we have information to get out to everyone, but I want there to be an opportunity for some questions as well. So if anyone has any questions as we go along, if you could put those into the Q&A, and when we're all finished here, we'll try to get to as many of those as we possibly can and as time allows. And I know everybody probably has a lot of questions as far as the training and getting going on virtual, because this is new to a lot of our groups within our section. So I do want to also highlight kind of what's next, what's coming up next. So we are going to be pushing out our 2021 budget. Our finance committee is in the middle of putting together that draft. And I will say that the board itself will be meeting for a first look at that and to go through things on September 29th. We are having a special board meeting on that. And kind of some highlights I'd like to put out there on that. is that we are stripping a lot out of our budget. The first one I'd have to say is a big one is no travel. I mean, no one's traveling right now. And I know that a lot of folks' even their utility budgets, travel budgets have been slashed. So that's kind of a major one that's coming out. And then also in regards to subsections and competitions, because of our budget being what it is, we have had to strip out any travel to ACE for competitors. Should ACE 2021 be in person. So I will say this is that I would like, if subsections are planning on still holding their local competitions, to reach out to the SAC officers and let them know that you're holding these competitions, because we are still trying to come up with a way to figure out if subsections are going to hold them, and if ACE is going to be in person, what's the best way that we can get our folks to ACE 2021. So, and as part of that also, we are asking that subsections keep in mind that when they're putting their budget together for 2021, should they have competitors that move on to ACE, we would be looking at subsections to help out with the sponsorship of the travel for those competitors. Also in this budget, we are looking at no reimbursements. You know, it's hard. But that's what we're asking, is that we have no room for speaker gifts. Unfortunately, we have no room for swag. So there's not a lot of room for any type of reimbursements. So again, that goes back to having a training or an event that's revenue neutral. So if you're able to incorporate some sort of sponsorships to cover any of those types of items, that's what we are encouraging our membership to do. So after the September 29th board meeting to look at the budget, we will be making that available to our membership to take a look at before our fall trustee meeting, so that we can have input from our membership on that. And then after that, the next date that I'll throw out there is October 13th. October 13th is the day that we've set aside for our fall committee and subsection training. This is also going to be a virtual event. We will have a couple hours of training. We're putting together that agenda. Part of that agenda is going to be our typical association overview. And we're going to have some resource training of the resources that we've put together. And then also we will have a presentation from our membership division, and including the diversity subgroup at that 2-hour training. And then there will be a break after that training, and we will be moving into a trustee meeting at 2:30 in the afternoon, where we will be approving our final 2021 budget. You'll also see coming out this fall, we do still have to have elections. We still need to move our officers through the board. So you will also be seeing your ballots coming out, emailed to you, like they were last year. So please pay attention to those, because those are the future leaders of our section, and those folks help shape everything that we're doing. So that's kind of what I have right now. As far as what we're working on, it seems like, you know, a lot, but we're a big section and we have a lot to accomplish. So it does look like we have a few minutes set aside now for some Q&A. So I was going to turn that over to Kyle. He's acting as our moderator today.
Yeah, yes, we do have a few questions coming in here. I'm going to direct this one to Cheryl. The question is, for our virtual trainings, will the Water IT Committee be taking part in all of these? Will they be available as moderators or help with training, that kind of thing?
That's my hope. I think that they are definitely the best resource to go to if you don't already have somebody in your committee or your subsection who is acquainted with Zoom and how to do that. But definitely, I would suggest that you get in contact with Jeremy and work with them. And I asked them right off the bat when we first started developing this if there was interest in helping to support that. And I got very definite, yes, we'd like to do that.
And I think I would add that the great thing about these Zoom webinars is you can actually schedule a practice time. Like Rhonda and Cheryl and I got together earlier this week and kind of ran through some things and before you broadcast. So it's really great that that is available or feature of Zoom meetings. Another question here for you, Cheryl, again, is what length of abstracts are you looking for? 1, 2, 3 hours or more? What are you looking for from an abstract perspective?
I think at this point we're looking at half-hour abstracts because we are so constricted in our program time this year. The approach that the program committee has taken is to ask the trustees of the 3 divisions where almost all the presentations come out of to put together a basic framework and come up with a theme. It could be 3-hour sessions or it could be an entire day depending on how much content that we can get to pull up on this. So Doug Schlepp and Michelle Cheek and I have already talked once about this, and we've come up with an idea for presentations that are centered, first of all, around Portland's new filtration plant. And one of the reasons that we decided to go with this one, we're looking at that for February, is because it's got tentacles out into every part of the field. There's the initial regulatory issues that needed to be addressed. There's some research into what kind of water quality do we have to start with? Where do we want to get to that? So we have to build a pilot plant and do a little research on deciding on treatment. Then we have to engineer the treatment plant. Then we also have to look at the distribution system. How do we prepare this system that's been running for 100 years on one method with unfiltered water? We don't want to dump clean filtered water into a system that's got 100 years worth of gunk in the pipe. So there's a big flushing program going on with that. There's a huge public outreach component associated with it. And so we felt that we could touch on each of the various divisions to bring in a piece of that. A second topic that we thought might draw some interest is the year of disruption 2020, whether it's pandemic or civil unrest or who knows, you know, if we were in the South, it would be a hurricane on top of pandemic. But utilities have had to adapt and do business different ways. And so kind of an emergency response, maybe incident management thing, just how did you get through this year? We thought that that might be another good theme. And then we are also going back through the Spokane program for abstracts that have not been used. You know, maybe a couple days of the more traditional format where we have 3 hours in asset management and 3 hours to engineering and 3 hours to utility management. So we do have another meeting this afternoon to kind of flesh that out. And as soon as we get that framework out, then the program committee will be back to folks about here's what we're looking for specifically and when the abstract window will reopen.
Great, great. So Rhonda, you had a comment about that as well?
About the abstracts?
Yeah, the length of abstract.
Just for length of abstracts, I mean, I guess it really just depends on the format. So for obviously for the 4 mini conferences, it's going to be in one format, but for, I mean, keeping in mind that with Washington, it has to be minimum of 3 hours. You can obviously do that in 30-minute increments or 1 hour increments, but the overall training does have to be a minimum of 3 hours, at least for Washington.
Good.
Yeah, that's correct. And thank you for bringing that up. Although 3 hours, Washington will allow you to deliver it 1 hour at a time, just as long as everybody hits all the attendance questions during that 3 hour period. Good again.
Good. So we're getting quite a few questions about calendars. I want to remind everybody that on our website, we actually do have a training calendar. So as subsections or committees start to develop training, all those things go on our training calendar and you can find them on our website. We don't have a lot of networking things going on right now. We're trying to develop some more virtual networking opportunities, and those too will be on our website as they become available. Their question about our fall committee and subsection training, Rhonda, talks about in the past we've had opportunities for subsection leaders to share best practices and share ideas. Is that going to be included in this fall virtual training for officers?
What I would like to work with on the agenda is a time for that, kind of like a breakout room, because this fall meeting is going to be for committees and subsections. But with Zoom, we do have the ability to have training rooms to where we can break people out into these other rooms so that we can have some specific time for subsections and for committees. And that's just it, is to because that is kind of one of those valuable things at our meeting, is those times to come together with other subsection officers and, you know, compare notes on what each other's doing. So we do want to build that into our fall meeting as well, to give some time for that.
Good, good. Well, we are getting close to the end of our webinar here. I want to remind everybody that we do have a Section E newsletter coming out here in the next week or so that's going to have more information about the fall meeting. There'll be a place to register for the fall virtual training, whether you're a committee, a subsection officer, or just an interested member. Obviously, all our events are open to every member to attend. And I want to put a little plug in for our PAC, our Philanthropy Advisory Council. I know a lot of you like to attend our Water for People events and our other fundraising events. I think the last one we had was we had to cancel was the Walla Walla Wine for Water event. We haven't really done a lot this year from a networking standpoint, but I do know that the Philanthropy Advisory Council is still doing some fundraising, so you might want to go to their page on our website, see more about that, and that will also be in the e-newsletter as well. We're kind of doing some partnering with the water equation at the association level, and there's going to be opportunities for funds to come back into the section for that as well. So I want to thank our esteemed panelists for joining us today. Like I said, we have had 47 participants on this. So for our first ever virtual town hall, I think that was a pretty good turnout. And I want to thank everybody for attending this today. And honestly, if you have any questions, certainly feel free to reach out to any of your trustee liaisons. You can find their contact information on our website. Feel free to reach out to me at the section office. And we'd be happy to answer all of your questions that we can. Thanks so much. And with that, we'll conclude our 2020 virtual town hall. Thanks so much.
Thank you.